Hello, weary travelers, and welcome back to the Temple of Kung Fu. As always, I'm your host, the Shaolin Kid, and tonight's tale is... Once Upon a Time in Shanghai, released in 2013. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this. Directed by Ching-Po, starring Philip Ng, Andy On, and Sammo Hung. Now, fighting choreography, very important, by, okay, Yuan Wu Ping, who I guaranteed I've said that name before, and Yuan Chung Yan. I apologize if I butchered every single one of those names, because I most likely did. But anyway, this film is actually a remake of a 1972 kung fu film called Boxer from Shantung. Again, sorry if I butchered that one as well. But also, watching this film almost made me want to watch the original. You know, like, what are the differences? You know, what are the similarities? It's kind of interesting because I liked this film. I liked it quite a bit. It was very entertaining. It was very fun. I thought a lot of it was kind of funny because, I mean, it was really dramatic, right? Like, it was super dramatic, and it was like, you know, whenever, like, a big moment happened, you know, it was like a bunch of camera cuts and, like, sad music, and then the character was like, no! It was great. I love, like, melodramatic movies because, like, you know, I feel like there are points in the movie where you can tell, like, something's gonna happen. You know, it's not gonna be all sunshine and rainbows. I also kind of like how desaturated the film is. It's not exactly black and white, because a character wears, like, a colored shirt, and you can kind of see the color on their shirt, but the rest of it is, like, you could barely make out, like, any color at all. Which I thought was supposed to originally, like, depict, like, it's bleak, you know, it's dreary, but I don't really know, because at the beginning of the film, it's kind of cheery, you know, like, the hero, he's, like, all happy, he's excited to do what to do, and then the movie at the end is kind of bleak and dreary at the end, right? But at the beginning, it's not really that bleak, at least not in my opinion. I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, I also really liked just the action, obviously. I mean, one of the main reasons to watch a kung fu film is obviously for the kung fu, right? This film being taking place in 1930s Shanghai. Obviously, Once Upon a Time in Shanghai. It's going to take place in Shanghai, right? And it's about, you know, this laborer, you know, farmer boy who just, like, got out. He just got he immigrated from wherever he used to be, like, the country, into Shanghai, right? And he's, like, he brought a buddy with him. I can't tell if he was family, if it was just one of his buddies, right? I don't remember if they said or not. But then he starts, you know, getting higher on the pecking order. Eventually, he befriends a, like, triad boss, right? But he, you know, he's good friend. He's like, you know, for a criminal, he's a stand-up guy, you know? And he was a nice guy, you know? He seemed just, he seemed fair, and he was a cool dude. But then, of course, this movie, taking place in 1930s China and being made by Chinese people, the evil Japanese guy came in and ruined everything, right? It's always the Japanese, always the evil Japanese guy. He came in and he ruined everything. You know, he got his friend killed, the triad boss friend killed, and then, since, you know, the main guy, Philip Ng, since he went to help his triad boss friend from getting killed before he got killed later, they went to, like, his little living area where there were, like, a bunch of people, like, villagers and stuff, and they killed them, right? And Sammo Hung died, and they kidnapped Sammo Hung's daughter, who was, like, the love interest of Philip Ng. Sorry again if I keep butchering that. But, then it kind of becomes a revenge movie by the end, because of course, you can't have a kung fu movie without revenge, right? That's the basic principle, right? Gotta have revenge in a kung fu movie. While revenge did not drive the story at first, it was the motivation at the end, right? And also, but something I find kind of weird is in the movie, he has, like, some buddies, right? He has an older brother, that kind of introduces him to these people and, like, gets him into the game, becomes, like, a factory worker or something. And he has another buddy with, like, a cap. I don't remember if he was related or if he was just one of his friends. But then, I think he gets fired from the factory, for stirring up too much trouble. But then these guys from the factory leave the factory because, they liked him and what he stood for, so they started hanging with him. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember those characters getting a conclusion, even though they were pretty focused on them the first half of the movie. But they kind of forgot about them in the second half to focus on the triad stuff, which is fine, right? But I kind of liked them, they were his boys, and even during the triad stuff, like, he would, like, bring them in, because they were kind of, like, down on their luck, like, impoverished people, but, since he worked for the triad boss now, and since he was good friends with him, like, he was able to bring his friends in to eat, like, every day, pretty much. Like, every night they would come in to eat at this, like, fancy club that the triad boss owned. And it was kind of like, I thought that there would have been a point at where his buddies also got hired by the triad boss. I thought there was going to be, like, a storyline there. And then maybe they would have died after that. But, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even know if they had an on-screen death. Even though they were pretty important to the plot in the first half of the movie. Because without his older brother, he wouldn't have, probably even met the triad boss guy. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the older brother's the guy who told him about him, right? He's like, oh, this guy, he's like this big, tough dude, He's like doing all this stuff. He's ruling over Shanghai, stuff like that. Again, maybe leave down in the comments. Am I wrong? Did these characters get a conclusion? But maybe I missed it, right? I did not see it. I don't know, sorry. Either way, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the film. Not that. But that was a little hiccup, but it's not even that much. It's just a bit of a nitpick. But the rest of the film, I just really liked. I really liked the dynamic between, I think it was Andy On and Philip Ng. I thought had a good dynamic, right? And obviously, I actually kind of thought there was going to be a falling out, because a lot of these films that are, like, kind of, like, buddy films, usually there's a falling out near the end of the movie, and then they come back together to, defeat the big bad guy or, solve a problem. But no, they don't really have a falling out. Instead, Andy dies. As I said earlier, he gets killed by, like, goons that were sent by the evil Japanese guy and the other triad bosses that wanted to kill him, right? And then, obviously, there's their driving force revenge. And I think the final fight scene, like, in the, what was it, like a castle? I don't know. It was a big building, is what I know. It was a big building. And basically, one thing I really liked is how, like, ridiculous the final stretch, like, the final fight was. Because, obviously, he was just gonna blow past the goons like they were nothing, right? Because they're just goons, But it's really funny how, like, there's a point in the scene where it's, like, these bunch of dudes in a hallway, and they're charging at him, like, how he's gonna get through, and he's just boom, 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 boom. He just, like, one punches every single one of them. He's like, you get a punch, and you get a punch, and you get a punch. That's really funny. That was really funny. And then there's another scene where he fights two of, like, the lower, like, kind of, like, they were also kind of lackeys to the Japanese guy. They, like, sold out their country. They were traitors, that whole thing. They got dealt with pretty quickly, honestly. They didn't hold up much of a fight. Also, they were older. Right, so it kind of makes sense that the younger guy would kick the shit out of him. But there was also really funny. So the other guy died pretty quick. One guy, he had an axe. He had axes, right? So he caught one of the axes and then he kicked the other axe back, or he threw it at him. And it went through his chest and he died, right? Not really that ceremonious. But then the other older guy, he, like, beat the shit out of him, right? So he just started punching him, getting him down, and then he, like, he was down on the ground, and then he started to look up, and he just punched him, and then his head went through a fucking chair. He just, like, punched him, and then he fell through a chair. It was funny. It was funny, okay? You gotta watch the movie, but it was funny. Then he had another fight with the guy that killed Sammo Hung, and he was younger, and he put up more of a fight, Honestly, all the fight. All the fight scenes I thought were really good, right? Because obviously, the choreographers in this movie, I mean, I can't remember, one of the UNs, They actually, I believe, directed Drunken Master, Dance of the Drunken Mantis. They did a lot of classic kung fu films that like. There was a hell of a lot of them that I recognized from their filmography. So I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder the choreography was so good in this movie. Then the other guy, he did choreography for the fucking Matrix, right? And the Matrix has good choreography, at least I think so, right? Honestly, I think the reason this film was entertaining is because it was tightly packed. You know, I don't think it had a lot of unnecessary filler. You know, it was kind of like getting to the next point while also still developing the characters. You know, it was simple. It was pretty simple. But before I get to that, the final battle with the evil Japanese guy, of course, right? You gotta have the final fight with the like the final boss of the movie, pretty much. He had this heavy ass sword, right? That could basically like cut through like concrete like it was nothing. I have no idea how this guy was like swinging this shit like it was a plastic sword. I'm not sure how he was able to do that. Maybe he's just like the Hulk or something. I don't know. Something that can just cut straight through concrete like it's butter. I don't know. You gotta be strong, I guess. He was really strong. He was a big bad guy, you know? And actually, there was a point in the film where, so he has this super punch, right? So the main hero, he has this like super punch, like where he like charges it up. You know, like he has a bracelet that his mother gave him before he left, like before he had to run away. His mother gave him this bracelet, and whenever he charges up that hand and he punches, it's like a super punch, and it like breaks bones and it, like gets a kill. You know, it's for the kill. Because like there was the shuriken guy, the way he weakened him is he was going for a flying kick and he just fucking punched his foot and broke his leg. Oh, that was great. Like imagine if you just try to kick somebody and then they fucking punch your leg. Great parry. But the way he defeats the evil Japanese guy is that, so basically he charges at him, you know, like there's a lot of screaming too, like for dramatic effect, and then he charges and then the sword goes through here, not through, like it goes kind of through his shoulder, and then he just, boom, just punches him straight in the face. And he does, like, the Japanese guy doesn't even fall down. He's just, like, dead upright. You know, he's just, like, I think he's dead. Right? I mean, he punched him in the face with the super punch. You're done for with the super punch. But, it's over. It's game over. Right? Game over, man. But, I actually kind of, when he got hit with the sword, I expected him to die, but he didn't. Right? He just went outside, and the love interest, she's like, you know, he's like, I'll wait for you. It doesn't matter how long, I'll wait for you. Because then, like, the police are all just, like, lined up outside, and they're like, yeah, you killed a lot of bad guys, but you still killed a lot of people, so you're still going to jail, buddy. You don't get a pass. Which I think makes a lot of sense, actually. Like, obviously he would get arrested. Like, he fucking killed how many people? He basically killed an entire building full of people. It doesn't matter that they were gangsters. You're still killing people, right? Like, I don't know. I do think I did like that. And also, one thing I liked about the ending is that it was open-ended, right? I thought, like, at the end, she's like, oh, I'll wait for you. I thought it was going to be, like, a time jump to, like, 30 years later or something, and it was going to be them, like, older, and he got out of prison. But no, it just ends with her watching the cop cars drive away, with him driving away. With him driving away. I like that. You know, it leaves it up to interpretation. Like, did he come back? Will he ever come back? It's up to the audience to decide. I like that. It's kind of a bittersweet ending, I guess, because he did get revenge, you know, for his fallen brother, but it was for his fallen, you know, family, his fallen people, but he did probably go to prison for a very long time. So, yeah. But anyway, with that being said, would I recommend the film? Yeah. Absolutely. It actually honestly makes me want to watch the original film. Maybe I'll get back to you on that. Maybe I'll review the original sometime in the future. But I do recommend this film for kung fu fans, action fans, hell, maybe like action drama fans, because there is a lot of drama in it, right? But with that being said, overall I would recommend it. It's a very entertaining film. And with that being said, I think I would rate this film an 8 out of 10. And, yeah, you know, guys, I think I said what I say. Thanks for stopping by the temple. Really appreciate it. And, you know, hope you guys like this video. Share, friends, subscribe, turn notifications on. Comment down if you liked it. And I've been the Shaolin Kid. Buddha be praised. Freeze frame ending! Even though there wasn't really a freeze frame ending in this movie. That makes me sad. You gotta have the freeze frame ending, man. Even, like, I don't know. Funny when, like, the character laughs, right? Because in a lot of kung fu movies, like, the villains or, like, some of the characters, like, laugh a lot, right? I always find it funny in the dub. They're like, ha 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 ha. I don't know. It's just funny to me. Like, I don't know. It just sounds fake, but it's, like, in a good way. And it's fake in a good way, right? It's fake in an entertaining way. I don't know. It's always funny. I don't know. Directed by Wu. What was it? Hang on. Hang on.
Directed by
Wong Ching. Wait, no. Directed by Wong Ching-Po